You are listening to 1380 AM, 95.1 FM KCIM, and is your weekly athletic support group. So that makes you all athletic supporters, right?
Sure. I've been called worse, I guess.
It's KCIM Sports Rewind with Sports Director Jeff Blankman, Assistant Sports Director Casey Miners, and myself, John Ryan. Once again, being brought to you by St. Anthony Athletics, St. Anthony
Rehabilitation.
Thank you very much. I had too much going on in my head, which is usually never a problem.
Folks, if you see how he has to scramble to get things ready at the last second, you would understand.
Because I failed to prepare.
Yes.
This is why. You guys walked in like a half an hour early and totally freaked me out.
Yes.
So, to be fair, we were up shooting pictures at Kuhn this morning, so it's not like we walked in a half hour early by choice.
Yeah.
They walk in and I'm like, what are you doing here? Leave my studio until it's about 2 minutes before airtime.
At least you didn't look at me and go, it's Tuesday?
Yeah, that is true. So, got a special guest. He's a busy guy right now, so we wanted to make sure we had to be able to spend a few moments with him. But Hall of Famer we have on the show here this morning, joining our own Hall of Famer, Jeff Blankman. It is Ryan Kock on the phone. First of all, Ryan, congratulations on being named the Hall of Fame for high school football for the state of Iowa.
Yeah, I appreciate it, guys. I really appreciate you guys having me on, too.
Ryan, Jeff Blankman here. I got a chance to kind of walk up on the dome field here, a few years ago for mine. But what was that feeling like? How nervous were you? What was it like to be a part of the celebration last Friday night?
Oh, it was great. Going with the 5A championship game, you're seeing a really good high school football game, too. But, not too nervous just to walk.
Are you still there, Ryan?
Like forever now.
You cut out there just a little bit. Can you repeat that answer for us, Ryan?
Yeah. I guess it wasn't really nervous, walking out there for this. Probably more nervous when we played out there 23 years ago now. It seems like it flew by.
Yeah, it was under head coach Don Boulware where you won your state championship, and as a player anyway. And Jeff and I were trying to figure out, did you play for Brian Case or Don Boulware? You played for both. You had the great fortune of playing for some pretty good coaches. Talk about those two guys and the influence they had on your career.
Yeah, those two guys meant a lot to me. Boulware was my first high school coach, and, he was a people person. He knew how to motivate kids and did a great job and obviously had a lot of success. And Brian was the defensive coordinator, Coach Case, on the staff right away, too, and he took over my senior year as head man, and he's had a lot of success. And you could see it was going to come. The guy works hard, great coach. Another coach that we don't want to forget about would be Lance Schultz. You want to talk about one of the best strength and conditioning coaches ever to be in the high school level. I think that's one of them.
Is that what really sets your program apart? Because, it would seem like it was seamless between Boulware and Case. You guys were just always at the top of your games.
Yeah, I think those guys really worked well together. Boulware got everybody in the weight room. Case was always there as a PE coach and pushing you. And then, you bring Schultz into the mix, too. We just had a great group of coaches, and we had a great group of guys, a lot of good friends that that's what we did. We played sports and we worked out. We wanted to make each other better, and it was a competition every day, and I think that, showed up.
Ryan, I got to bounce you back here real quick. You mentioned in that first response that, you were more nervous back when you played. When you got a chance to walk back into the dome and watch some football and then go back out onto the field, did a flood of memories from those championship teams that you played on and helped coach, did they start to come back?
It was nice. Not so much the memories, I guess. I played quite a few places, but the dome, it will always hold a special place. But I think this time was pretty special just to have my kids with me, a lot of them have never been to the dome to watch a game. So, just going and showing them that, and that was probably the most special.
What do you remember the most about your playing career? Now that you look back on it, like I said, over 2 decades ago, what do you remember the most? What stands out?
just the friendships, I mean, how we were pretty dominant back in the day. I can say that now that we're done, but, one guy was joking with me. I think it was Coach Osborne from Harlan. His son got inducted, and, I said, we only got to play about half the games. There was that 50-point rule. So, that's what I remember. We dominate in the first half, and Coach Bowler would be like, well, guess you guys are about done for the day. So.
Do you like the changes that they've made? How much do you think that impacted you in your playing career, only getting to play a half a lot of times?
You practice all week, and that's your only, football, you get one game a week, and you don't get very many of them. So, I kind of like what they've done. Bulwer would always joke with us, Wesley and Dave Higgins and myself, like, the only person to keep your stats back is me. I can only let you score so much, right? So, calling plays, but we just had kind of, like I said, a great group of guys that just showed up every day. I mean, we were there summer, we'd lift all winter. We just go to the next sport and keep pushing each other. So, yeah, it was a lot of fun.
You talk a lot about the relationships that you built during your high school playing career. Have you stayed in touch with a lot of those guys, or even most of them through, kind of your adult life?
I'd say, yeah, some, the close ones. Yeah, everybody gets busy with their families and once they move on and careers. But, yeah, there's a group of guys, it might be once a year, it might be every month, but you'll hear from one or two. And, yeah, it's just the relationships from there and at Iowa State, mean the most going forward.
Yeah, I remember covering you guys back then, and your teams were absolutely loaded with talent. Guys playing both ways. Did you prefer running back? I know you played fullback in college, played fullback, and in high school too. But did you prefer offense or defense when you played in high school?
Kind of depended on the game, I guess. No, it was a lot of fun playing both ways and special teams. I mean, at a smaller school, you get a chance to do that, and you get a chance to do it, all year round and be well-rounded on the football field. But you had to be in some good shape too, though.
Yeah, and you translated all of that into a nice career at Iowa State as well. Talk about that transition from small-town Iowa football to the Big 12.
Yeah, that was, Coach McCarney, he was one of the first guys to text me once he heard about the Hall of Fame, so that means a lot too. I mean, might talk to the guy once a year, but, he just does the little things. And, he gave me an opportunity, and you just got to make the most of it. If you can perform here, all it is bigger level and everybody's good, but it was a lot of fun, met a lot of great people, got to go to a lot of really nice stadiums, play against a lot of NFL-type guys that played for quite a few years. So we had some successful teams, as you know, went to 3 bowl games. We also had some teams that struggled. And to be honest with you, you didn't work any less hard on those years that you didn't win any games. So those were probably the most that stick out to you.
As far as places you got to play, people you got to play against at the college level, does any game or stadium or player you played against kind of stick out to you?
It was so much different. I guess the players playing against them or the games were so much different coming from high school to college. So I really don't, remember those as much, probably because, you're used to playing all the time, like we talked about. You're the punter, the kicker, the kick returner, played offense, defense, and then you go to, Iowa State or anywhere else you go, and you might be a situational guy like myself, short yardage, touchdowns, So, just trying to stay into the game, I guess, was the most. I don't remember a lot of, some of the cool places, though. We went to Texas. We played at Arrowhead Stadium against Florida State. That was my first game ever suiting up. That was pretty cool. Just a lot of the great places that you got to go visit, the bowl games, nothing can compete with that.
You mentioned that it was great to have your kids out there in the Hall of Fame induction ceremony and kind of, being able to show them the dome and some of the memories that you had there. What's it like to have your son playing at Iowa State?
It's awesome.
That sounded like a devious laugh, by the way.
Yeah. No, he had struggled his high school year. He kind of got hurt and didn't get to play his senior year. So I could tell he wasn't done. He went to the camp, Iowa State's, before his senior year at Iowa State, and they told him he'd always have a spot there as good as he did, which the kid's a worker, and I'm just proud of him. all my kids, they know you work hard, good things will happen. But with him playing there, it's great to go back to games now, We've been to every home game this year, and to see the hard work that he's putting in, hopefully it leads to some success for him, too, down in the future.
Ryan, you mentioned, that you played everything in high school and then you got to college. You had to pretty much play fullback. Any advice for younger athletes out there that, today it seems like we've gotten to that, and it was back in our day, my day as well, but you get those kids that are frustrated, I'm not getting enough playing time, I'm not the star. What's the advice that you give them? Because, football has helped probably with you develop what you've become later in life.
Yeah, definitely. It's that's the hardest part. I talk to my son. I talk to some of his friends and other kids that their kids go to college, and they're saying, they go and they're just so down, they don't get to play. But, if you're walking in, as a high schooler, if you're going to college, you were really good in high school, and you get knocked back right away. That redshirt year is tough. You go from playing every down to, basically playing scout team and not getting any games for a whole year. But it kind of sets you apart, if you're willing to put in the work, willing to stick after it. I went in as a linebacker, basically a week into practice. They told me I wasn't good enough to play backer, go play fullback. They set you in your place in a hurry there, and you realize everybody is good. So it takes a little work ethic to stand out.
You're also one of the few people out there that have a state championship to your credit as a player and being on the coaching staff of a championship team. What was the difference between those two championships?
I had a lot of fun coming back. I was a volunteer, like I talked to you earlier about, on that 2008 team. And, I talked to a lot of my teammates and everybody about what you can bring back, and if you knew in high school what they teach you the first 2 weeks in college, you could be a dominant high school player. So coming back, I remember, I had some good friends like, nowadays, I coached, like Eric Vogel and a few of those guys around now, and Keelan Richardson and Mark Blessington was on that team. But, just teaching them what they could see, why they're not seeing it. And here it is. And I remember Eric Vogel coming off once, and he's like, I asked him if he didn't want to score a touchdown. He started laughing. And I said, well, if you want to score, do this. And he's like, wow, I think he had 4 touchdowns that game. And it's just little things that you can translate to them, and it was a lot of fun.
Ryan, you mentioned Keelan Richardson. If I remember correctly, he played that one championship game really banged up, but still had an outstanding game, and that was a great career. I remember going up and watching Mark up at UNI, and what a terrific young guy he was. But do you ever miss being on the sidelines? I know with your career now it's probably hard, but do you ever miss being around the game in that way?
I do. I do miss it, but we've coached, the youth here in Carroll growing up. My wife has done the basketball for my sons and my daughters. I've helped out. I've coached some baseball, Little League, and I've coached some of the Carroll Cardinals teams. So, just with the younger kids and trying to help them out, get them ready for middle school sports, so you kind of still stay active with it. So it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, and after your playing days was done with Iowa State, you decided to start your family right back here in the Carroll area. What made you make that decision?
It's a great place to raise a family. We had Caden, and wanted a good place for him to go to school, and provided right away. I had a lot of good opportunities to come back home and start a career. So we did that. We moved to Sioux City, Sergeant Bluff area for a while, and then ended up coming back home here. And Carroll Schools provides, Carroll or Kemper, you got a lot of great options, even with the surrounding towns, and just a great place to raise a family.
How closely do you follow South Central Calhoun football anymore?
Oh, I follow it. Got a lot of, a lot of my ex-teammates have some players that are getting real close to playing. So, it's kind of nice to follow them. Coach Case does just a great job up there. So always kind of just follow them, see where they're at, what's going on. But probably don't follow them as much as I should once Caden got into high school and started playing, because, we were busy every Friday. But, it's fun to see success that they've had.
Well, after sitting here chatting about your playing career and all of this, have you ever thought about taking up that third career in radio broadcasting?
I told Pete Collison last night, I got a radio face. I'm not good at doing any of these interviews or anything. So
yeah, I think you'd be a blast to have on a broadcast as a color commentator.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
Well, Ryan, we certainly appreciate your time. We've already probably taken up more than you wanted to have. But again, thank you so much for joining us. Congratulations on the Hall of Fame. Enjoy it. And wish your wife the best of luck, too, in her basketball season upcoming.
Yeah, appreciate it, guys. Thanks for having me.
All right.
Thanks, Ryan, and congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you.
Ryan Kock, once again, joining us here this morning on the phone. I remember those teams, man. They were a lot of fun to cover.
Yeah.
You talk about some exciting football games and things like that. I remember just some of the playoff games and all of that. It was just crazy insane.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance. I wasn't here to cover those. It was before I got here, but I remember watching them up at the Dome and just realizing how good they were. And then, it was kind of fun getting to listen to him talk about that 08 championship team because I can remember Keelan Richardson, if I remember correctly, it was an ankle and the poor kid could barely move. He's not a kid anymore, but, for me, he still is. But, and then Mark Blessington, got to watch him play up at UNI and just he threw out some of the names, Eric Vogel and stuff, and it brings back memories of getting to watch those teams up at the Dome and the great teams that they had back then.
Yeah, such good athletes too, all the way around. And I always said that Wesley Bishoner on those teams was maybe the best high school football player I had covered at the time because he played quarterback, he played defensive back, he returned punts.
Yep.
He was, like Cooper DeJean.
Right.
Before there was Cooper DeJean.
Right.
So just crazy talented teams, and Ryan was certainly right there. Among the most talented athletes to play football in this area.
Yeah, and had a terrific career at Iowa State. Didn't always get the opportunities that you probably would have liked to have seen him get. But
I think his last game, he had something like 200 and some yards rushing, and just a monster game. And it was like, we wish we had another year with this guy.
Yeah, absolutely. And you imagine what he would have done with that probably.
Exactly.
But, I think what that does is it tells you here's a guy that he talked about, punted, kicked, returned things, played defense, played offense, gets to Iowa State, gets a very limited role. But when his time came, he was ready. Because he stayed focused, he stayed doing, and it was about the team, and he stayed doing what he needed to do, and he was ready to go. And when his time came, it might have been 5 years after he graduated high school, but he was still ready to go.
And think about the coaches. He had Don Bolware, went to Brian Case, and then went to Dan McCarney.
Yeah, I'd say that's pretty good staff.
That's pretty heady stuff going on there.
Yes.
We have the utmost respect for all of those guys.
Yes.
And again, just a phenomenal career at South Central Calhoun, and then, of course, at Iowa State, and now he's very successful in business here in Carroll, and his wife's the Carroll High basketball coach, and got kids that are going to Iowa State playing football and things. I mean, just life is pretty good. Yeah, and I'll get a chance to cover a game with two of his daughters playing tonight as the Carroll girls open up their season tonight. I'm telling you, get him on the color. Let's get him up there. I might check and see if he wants to come up. When you mentioned doing color, I was sitting here thinking, he'd be really good at interviewing coaches for the scoreboard show on Friday night. Yeah. Ryan, we have a starring role for you here in the sports department at Carroll Broadcasting. So we're going to move on. Again, congratulations to Ryan Kock on his Hall of Fame induction at the 5A championships on, what was that, Saturday night? Friday night. Yeah, I just wanted, we hadn't probably run through, but 4-year letter winner with Southern Cal. They won the 1A title in 2000, graduated as a 3-time All-State player with 3,552 all-purpose yards and 63 touchdowns. Also had 330 tackles. They went 39-6 during his career at Southern Cal. He was also a standout in track. He was a 4-time qualifier for state and a 3-time qualifier for the Drake Relays. And then, of course, a 4-year fullback with 20 career touchdowns, including the game-winning touchdown in the 2004 Independence Bowl and a team MVP honors in 2006. And, the funny thing is I was down at that 2004 Independence Bowl. Were you? I was. Yep. That was down in Louisiana. Down in Louisiana, down at Shreveport. All right. So what an incredible career. Yeah. Just amazing stuff. So we could have talked to him for the full half hour, but he had meetings, things like that. So business kind of getting in the way. He stepped out of a meeting to come talk to us. Yeah. All right. We're going to take a break. We're going to be back more with KCIM Sports Rewind next. As the athletes at your house prepare for hard work and fun of the season, remember that St. Anthony Rehab Services provides physical therapy for any sports injury that may sideline your member of the team. Sports injuries can plague kids of all ages and keep them from playing the sport they love. Athletes will be under the direct supervision of a certified and licensed
licensed healthcare professional in the newly renovated Sports Performance Facility. If an injury is keeping your athlete out of the game, call St. Anthony Rehabilitation Services at 794-5000 for sports injury and treatment rehab.
It is KCIM Sports Rewind. Sports Director Jeff Blankman, Assistant Director Casey Miners, myself, John Ryan. Yesterday, I had a great trivia question ready for you guys. Great question. Unfortunately, I left it up in a Word document on the screen here in the studio, and of course, who follows me on the air is Jeff Blankman.
So you're saying you don't trust me? I didn't even notice it until you mentioned something. So
I don't believe that for a second. Not 1 second. So
I can't remember what I had for breakfast an hour ago. You think I'm going to remember what I read on a doc yesterday if I saw it?
Yeah, I don't know. When it comes to sports, I believe you'll probably remember that. So I'm going to change it up today.
All right.
We're not going to talk college football. We're not going to talk pro football. We're going to talk Thanksgiving trivia.
Oh, boy.
Here you go.
I'm in some trouble there.
2,000 Americans surveyed, asked about their holiday likes and dislikes. What are the three, according to Americans, three worst side dishes for Thanksgiving? We'll just go ahead and answer that now so we don't forget.
I'm just going to start with the one that I know I don't like, green bean casserole.
Yeah, unfortunately, I love GBC, man. I would call it GBC, green bean casserole. I love it.
Do you really?
Yeah.
I do it every year. I host my family, so it's always a part of the meal, but I will not touch it.
25% of people hate green bean casserole. Casey, what do you got?
Stuffing. I don't like stuffing.
Oh, man. How do you not love stuffing?
I don't know. I can't. I'm not a big Thanksgiving meal guy. I'm going to tell you, whenever we always go down to my grandpa's farm for Thanksgiving, we typically eat like pizza or tacos. Like ever since my aunt and uncle opened a restaurant in Guthrie, we've had Thanksgiving food, but typically it's not Thanksgiving food for Thanksgiving for us.
That'd be like barbecue guys don't sit down and eat barbecue very much, probably.
Right, yeah.
So they eat other things. So, all right, we got green bean casserole. What else?
I'm going to say the bread pudding stuff. That's different than the dressing, right?
Nope.
Okay, that's not on there? Okay.
Nope. Anything else?
Cranberries?
That's kind of what I was thinking.
Okay.
Yeah, do you remember that horrid stuff that comes out of a can?
Yeah.
Like, why do people even have that? The only thing worse than that is the real cranberries. I just can't stand them.
I can't. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the last thing I would ever eat on a Thanksgiving table. So we got cranberries, green bean casserole, and the absolute worst one you're still missing.
Pumpkin pie.
No.
I wouldn't know.
That's not a side. That's a dessert. So I'm trying to think because corn, macaroni and cheese, potatoes. Those are all good.
By the way, macaroni and cheese highly overrated.
Really?
Yeah.
The white cheddar macaroni and cheese is really good.
It's just everybody says they have the best macaroni and cheese. Forget about it. It's all just like cement by the time it comes to the table.
No, not if I make it.
No. All right. Fine. Yeah, there it is. Everybody's mac and cheese is the best. You guys are missing one, candied yams.
Oh, see, I'd never have had those.
I would never think of yams. I've never had yams.
Well, you have tacos for Thanksgiving, for crying out loud. Yeah. What's up with that?
Yeah, who makes yams?
Actually, I don't mind them. I don't mind sweet potatoes, things like that. So you throw some brown sugar and marshmallow on something, you can eat anything. You can eat a flip-flop. Come on. So there you go. There's your trivia question.
I would have never come up with yams.
Yeah. So there you go.
Okay.
I'm done. What else do you guys want to talk about? You're the sports guys. Talk.
Yes. Okay. Well, the girls' basketball season started last Friday night, and got a chance to go up and watch ESAC girls take on Storm Lake, and a little bit of a struggle in the first half. But I think if you're the ESAC girls, Jason Phillips talked about it, maybe a little nervous, put a little pressure on themselves in the first half, and I really think that Storm Lake team is going to be good. I don't know if their record will be great at the end of the year because that Lakes Conference they're in is always really, really strong. But, the Yang girl down inside is going to be really good. And then they have Dahan and Yaski and some other scorers on the outside. So I thought that was a really, well-oiled machine there for a first game of the year. But for ESAC, you get outscored only 15-13 in the second half, and you keep it, from getting into continuous clock. It was almost there at halftime, and they come out and really played well defensively and made some adjustments and I thought played well. And you see some signs of some growth there. And I think, as Coach Phillips always liked, they'll be playing their best basketball at the end of the year.
It's the first game of the year, too. You're going to see those mistakes. You're going to see, probably turnovers that aren't going to happen later on in the year. You're not going to see missed shots that are going to happen later on in the year. And like you said, I think Storm Lake's record might not look good, but Storm Lake isn't a pushover like they used to be. They're a lot better than what they were, 3 years ago. So I think you're going to see a lot of improvement from the ESAC girls as well. They return a lot of girls from last year's team that only won 5 games. So I think Coach Phillips is going to have them going, like you said, towards the end of the season. And also I think they're going to get better each game in and out. And I think they can play great defense this year, too.
Yeah, and once the shots start to fall, they struggled to shoot the other night. But McKenna Steiger's going to be a good shooter. And I will say that with Addie Ehler and Kendall Quirk down inside, they're going to rebound the basketball well. Those two, especially Kendall, will get in there. And there's not a rebound she doesn't want. And rebounding a lot is about wanting the ball. And she'll go after it, and she'll get it. I know last year she made our All Rewind team, and a lot of that was just because of the way she rebounded the basketball, and I think she's going to be aggressive. But you could tell the difference. They were outsized height-wise in that game, but when she was on the floor, they were still able to rebound well, just because it didn't matter if the other girl was taller than her. She wanted the ball more, and that's what she brings. Yeah.
Rebounding is. I mean, it's a little anticipation, but it's just effort getting in there.
It's want to.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Carroll High's got their first game coming up later on tonight. Carroll High girls, they're going to be hosting Webster
City tonight, and I look forward to that.
Ryan Cook's wife going to be on the sidelines there.
Yes, Katie Cook and his 2 daughters, Allie and Chloe, both in the starting lineup tonight. But they're going to be young, going to be inexperienced. Caitlin Aiden, really the only girl coming back, her and Olivia Rowetter, that got much experience last year. Caitlin, of course, a starter, and Olivia played a big role for them as well. But a lot of younger players and inexperienced players going to have to step up for them. Numbers are down this year. They're only shooting 9 girls for the varsity here to start the season, but they've got some size. You talked to Katie for the preseason interview that we did last week, and they're 5'10", 5'11", 6 foot for a lot of those girls.
I think it'd be interesting to see. Caitlin had to sit out most of the volleyball season with the back. If she's 100%, I think the Tigers could be really good. And like you said, they're going to have a lot of size. They're going to throw a lot of big girls at you. But I think numbers-wise, they're down, like you said. But I think that's across the state this year. Talking to a lot of our area coaches, numbers are down for girls basketball. I think Carroll's going to throw a lot of size at Webster City tonight. A lot of their girls are tall. And talking with Katie in her preseason interview, that's one thing that they wanted to hammer really hard, is that they weren't going to have a lot of guards. They were going to have more forwards and post players, so they needed to get the ball down low and make layups at the basket, because I know me and you have talked, if you miss layups in girls basketball, you're going to lose the game. You got to make those layups down there low, and I think that's something that Carroll's really hammered on in practices and start the season.
That's something totally different. Normally it's been all guards, and you're lucky to have any kind of size down low. How's the Raccoon River Valley Conference shaping up this year?
It's going to be strong, as it always is. North Polk will be really good. Bondurant for ours always strong. Carlisle's going to be really good. Ballard's always really good. So, Winterset's usually strong. So, the Tigers will be tested every night in that conference.
North Polk, Ballard, and Carlisle all ranked within the top 10, if I believe, in the preseason rankings. So it should be a really tough Raccoon River Conference. It isn't every girl. It just seems like every time we talk about girls sports, the next season that rolls around, the Raccoon River Conference is so good and stacked throughout everything, and it's going to be a fight for Carroll this year. And they'll be able to compete, I think, really well with throwing size. And I think that's something that maybe they've struggled with the past couple of years, is maybe not having that size to counteract some of the teams that they'll see in the Raccoon River Conference. This year they'll have the size to kind of throw different girls out there. And a lot of girls are going to be different skill sets too, so it should be good to see.
Yeah, it should be fun. Looking forward to seeing them tonight.
Yeah, the season is really off to a slow start, it seems like. Maybe we just didn't have teams at the Dome, so football season kind of ended prematurely for us. So it seems like we've been waiting a while to get the season underway.
Yeah, because as far as basketball goes, this is usually how it goes. ESAC always plays Storm Lake on that Friday of the state championship for football games, and then you always got South Central Calhoun plays at Storm Lake tonight, so you always get that matchup. And then Carroll's been playing Webster City for a few years, and then we get a break again until Monday when the boys' games will start as well. But, once Monday gets here, I think we've got games next week, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
There we go.
Yep.
That's going to keep our sports department out of trouble.
There's the schedule that you like, right? Games every day of the week for us.
Running you guys ragged. Why not?
Absolutely. So, but speaking of the girls' rankings here real quick, they came out last week, and we've got 2 area schools, Kemper ranked to start the season, and Coon Rapids Bayard ranked to start the season, and I think both of those well-deserving. We were just down at Coon earlier this morning for media day and getting a chance to take the individual and team photos with them, and Coach McAllister, she's pretty excited.
It's been a while for both programs.
It has, we've got Kemper coming up this afternoon, so I'll get a chance to go out and talk to Coach Klink and see them, but they're bringing back everybody but Catherine Mayhall, which is a big loss. One of the greatest probably family to ever don a Kemper uniform. But, they've got a lot coming back.
Real quick, I want to talk girls wrestling.
Yes. We certainly can't forget about that. They've been going for a little bit now. They got some meets last week, but all 5 of our area teams were in action on Saturday. South Central, Calhoun, and Kemper both went up to the Ridgeview Invite. South Central finished 11th, and Kemper was 16th out of 20 teams. We had some wrestlers do very well up there. I know Evelyn Kramer from South Central was a champion. We also had Grace Hoffman and Sadie Smith from the Kemper Knights that wrestled well. We also had Carol went over to Ames and did very well over there as well. 10th out of
34, I believe.
Yeah, 10th out of 34 teams over at that tournament. I was trying to find my individual stuff. I know Grace Hoffman, that's from Kemper. Avery Burke, Julia Canny, all wrestled well for them. I'm trying to think. Chloe Jones had a nice meet for them as well. Emma Daniels, I think, wrestled well, finishing up in 4th place as well. Audubon showed some really good improvement this year. They
Michelle
finished,
Brooks, I think, got second or 4th, something like that.
They went down. Yeah, Jordan Mulford finished in 3rd for them. They went to the West Monona tournament. Michelle Brooks was 3rd for them as well, and then Emily Foran also in 5th. And then Esac County had a nice tournament at Emmetsburg as well, taking 10th place. Not a lot of wrestlers for them, but Olivia Mack finished up in 4th place. Sophia Villegas finished in 4th place, and Danae Thayer also finished up in 5th place for them. And Lilia Unreen finished up in 3rd place for them as well. So a good, strong start for that opening weekend.
Yeah, a little bit of a slow start for the winter sports season, but boy, it's going to hit about 100 miles an hour next week.
Yes, absolutely. You get through Thanksgiving, and then it's full bore.
It's on. So, yep. All right, that is KCIM Sports Rewind for this week. Join us again next Tuesday morning, 9:30, right here on KCIM.